What's the most "I'm turning into my parents" moment for you? My 10-year-old nephew let me win a video game cause he felt bad for me. Like I did to my dad 25 years ago on Super Nintendo. When I went from, "Oh hey, this restaurant has live music, cool," to, "Damn it, look at them setting up a drum kit. It's going to be too loud, I can't hear." I've always had a little sass in me and most of my life. My shyness covered that up. Now I am a one-woman sassacre. Thanks, Mom. My brothers have been telling me for years that I am essentially our mom. To the point of calling me, "Little Mother." In an endearing way, not a Norman Bates way. I own it. My dad will fall asleep just about anywhere. Especially if he sits in recliner. So after I got my first full-time job out of college, I got home and me and my roommate were gonna watch a new episode of some show. I fell asleep in our recliner in less than 10 minutes. I woke up after the show ended and my roommate was like, "Yeah, you were out," and snored a little. Sometimes I will say certain words and I'll turn around because I thought my mom said something. It's really scary how me and her share 98% of seemingly random idiosyncrasies. We both talk to ourselves. Full on 45 conversations with ourselves. We both do this, counting this when some of the numbers turn breathy as we count. We both shake our heads and point our fingers the exact same way when we're yelling. Sometimes I'll stop mid-fight because I can see my mom making the exact same motions and it freaks me out. My so and I were packing and getting ready to road trip to some family's house for Thanksgiving. As I was cleaning up the house, my so said something along the lines of, "Don't worry about it. You can clean when we get home." I replied with, "I do not want to come home to a dirty house." At that point I realized I'm turning into my mother. My mom used to find things for us in a minute after we had been looking for hours. My siblings and dad sometimes lose things and ask me to help because I always find it magically. I'm actually very excited about the mom touch to finding things. My dad has a way worked himself to death. Now he's retired. When he comes over now, as soon as he sits down on a couch he falls asleep within minutes. I'm noticing couches are starting to have the same effect on me. As I stared into the mass of various saved rubber bands and twist ties. When I sit down and make a dad noise, AAAHHHRGGGAAA. When I would get irrationally pissed off when I would come home at night and see my roommate left a spoon in the sink instead of just washing it real quick. I started enjoying looking at grocery ads for discounts and have 3 discount cards. Finding myself excited to go to Lowe's. As a child I hated being dragged to that store. As an adult and new homeowner I totally get the appeal of buying power tools and gardening supplies to work on various home improvement projects. I repeat stories. Every time I go home to visit, I'll hear things from my dad that he's either told me by phone already or stories I've heard 100 times. I found that I have also started telling people about stories from my past that I've already told them. Convenient that I don't make up BS. Or I'd have to remember all my BS. My dad was a fairly tall guy. I used to hate walking with him when I was about 4/5 because he'd take giant steps and I had to basically jog everywhere while he dragged my hand. My son is now 4 and I caught myself doing that exact thing about 2 months ago. Now I walk slower. I've always joked that my dad isn't really my father and I'm just a clone of my mom. I look like her, laugh like her, same mannerisms, etc. Then I got the exact same health issues that she has. At the exact same age they began for her. Easy. Walking around turning off light switches complaining about waste of electricity. The moment I saw a high school picture of me, turns out it was my dad's high school picture. I'm identical to my father and it's annoying as can be. I went mushroom picking with my friend a couple of months ago. We ended up meeting my dad and granddad also mushroom picking. I'm Polish for clarification and mushroom picking is like a national sport here. Edit. For you guys wondering, I mostly pick Kirky chanterelles. Over the course of college, I went from milk and sugar in my coffee to straight black with an espresso shot. I went from ketchup on a lot of things to simply salt and pepper. The sweet tooth turned into a salty, savory tooth. When me and my first girlfriend broke up, after telling myself I wasn't going to turn into my parents, we broke up because I did all the wrong things my parents do. Ate at an expensive restaurant and for a sec considered how much better and cheaper it would have been if I made the meal at home. Answering stupid questions with stupid answers. Family member. What should I do with this dirty nappy you just changed? The nappy bin is next to her. Me. Put it in the fridge, we will eat it later. Edit. A nappy is a diaper. I washed out the hummus container to save in case I needed it someday. My 3-year-old told me as I turned on the TV. Don't turn on the news, Dad. I 100% remember saying that to my parents. I realized I talk exactly like my father. I use the same speech patterns and I don't get to the point, which annoys me as well as anybody listening. The first time I told my kids to shut the door, we aren't heating the outside. I finally get why they said it too. It costs money to cool the house. I wake up. No alarm. Every day at 4 a.m. to get ready for work. Just sit up like clockwork at 4. Never thought I would get to this point. I say the names of things I see while in the car, like, oh, a Burger King, and, a new Wawa. Interesting. My mom does this and it used to drive me nuts when I was younger. My husband actually types Google.com into the search bar, even though our default search engine is Google. It's a classic dad move. The moment I realized that I started to have a bag full of bags. When we're together, we answer people with the exact same answers. While driving in my car, I will put my arm out to protect the passenger if I suddenly stop, even though they are wearing a seatbelt, just like my mom. As the passenger in the front seat, I will step on the brake, even though there is no pedal, the old fake brake, just like my mom does. Having children. The sit that I've said has totally been sit my mom used to say. As a middle-aged male, I am turning into my mother and it terrifies me. Example. I swear to God if I have to go in your room to clean it, it's all going into a garbage bag and being donated to kids that will appreciate it. I found a picture of me as a kid with my dad. His Jimmy was in the background. I looked out to my driveway and saw my '99 Chevy Blazer and realized that I was driving pretty much the exact vehicle my dad drove when I was growing up. This wasn't a conscious choice. This is the second Blazer I have owned. I heard a loud noise and instantly got pissed off. My girlfriend told me she was cold when we were at home. She was wearing shorts and a tank top. I said, well, put some clothes on. My parents used to say the same thing to me and my sister when we were kids so they wouldn't have to turn the heat up, lol. Growing old alone, betrayed and bitter, family tradition. No specific moment, but I sound exactly like my dad when I get angry. My wife got a picture of me in shorts that didn't come to my knees, a white tee that I wore under my work shirt, doing dishes, with my headphones in, listening to a podcast. It was a wake-up call I needed. My boyfriend yelled, "Everyone in the car shut your mouth," when he got frustrated in a busy parking lot. It was just the two of us in the car and I wasn't talking. I fell asleep at the movie theater. I was always annoyed my parents could never remember the names of the toys and other things I wanted. My mom especially would butcher the names, once calling G.I. Joe, JoJo dolls. I now realize it's frocking hard to remember the names of all the sit my kids want. Called an lol doll collectible, a frocking lolly doll at the checkout line. Cringed so hard. When I started turning off the thermostat after my roommates leave it on. Me complaining about my dad. Sit, I'm just like my mom. Asterisk me complaining about my mom. Sit, I'm just like my dad. My dad is always pulling any weeds he sees in the grass or on his driveway. I caught myself doing this for about 20 minutes before it hit me. Mother used to drive me nuts with her. I can't sleep if the house is messy. Guess who was half drunk cleaning and taking down the tree after a night party until 3 a.m.? When I first thought to myself, damn, I hope I get some new socks for Christmas. That was a dark, dark day. I was demolishing a wall in my house, and decided to have a beer partway through. Upon taking down some part of it, I found an empty Corona in there from my dad, 25 years ago when he put up the sheetrock. This happened yesterday. Background. My mom and her fam are New York Jews. I was on my couch, enjoying the first episode of The Marvelous Ms. Maisel, about a 1950s New York Jewish woman who becomes a stand-up comic. I immediately thought, oh wow, my mom would love this, so I texted her to tell her to watch. Her response? Ha ha ha. Already watching episode 1 right now. Parents were going on a boat trip. I sent them a text that said, have fun. Wear life jackets. Didn't even realize what I'd done until afterwards. It was admittedly right after that duckboat disaster, but still the most mom thing I've ever done. My dad used to come and stand behind the sofa wearing an apron whilst I was watching TV, and put his hands on his hips and watch a bit of whatever was on whilst he was waiting for something to cook. I now do exactly the same thing in my flat with my girlfriend when I'm cooking and she's watching TV. Edit. I get it. You don't like that I used. Whilst I'm British. I can only apologize for my nationality. When I walked around my apartment turning off lights and muttering to myself about the electric bill. I was in the middle of yelling at my boyfriend about what was essentially nothing when I realized that how I was shouting sounded like my father. I realized I'd inherited my father's anger, the way he bottled it in, the way he lashed out at the ones he loved. So much rage and so much unhealthy expression of it, so much inherent need for violence. Nowadays I'm trying to be more patient, I'm trying to walk away, count to 10, breathe, and I'm looking up kickboxing classes. I'm not ending up bitter, unlovable, and alone, and I will not hurt the people I love the way he did. I work in the same profession as my dad and unknowingly got the same position he had 10 years ago at the same company he worked for. I go to bed at 8:30 and wake up at 4:30, and my first stop is turn on the coffee pot every single morning even when I'm off, and all of this never dawned on me until my mother pointed it out when I was home for Christmas. Definitely the first time I started folding a gift bag to reuse later. I used the same phrases as my mother. Flagged down manager to let them know that my server did a great job. My mom is the nicest person. I groan with every purchase over $10. Leaving notes and labeling things in the kitchen for my housemates. Didn't even think twice about it until they pointed out that it was cute that I did it. Definitely got that from my mom SMH. Every time I try to explain something or correct something, I catch myself running around in circles repeating what I just said over and over. I always hated that when my dad did it because it comes off like you don't believe the listener has enough capacity to understand you from the first time. Tell people to slow down when they drive too fast in my neighborhood. I don't even have kids, but it scares the crap out of me that the kids will get killed. I gave a guy the first dated the "no one owes you sit, earn it" speech about job hunting. I got that speech at age 13, 17, 21 and 23. Felt weird giving it to a 37-year-old. We have food at home. My dad was always digging himself into holes with his dad jokes, but he's passed that shovel on to me. The realization was groundbreaking. When I realized that I was becoming a compassionate, sympathetic, caring and loving human being, and that I had my mom's influence to thank for all of it. Love you, Mom. I reloaded a dishwasher that my friend had load. I stood up and said, "Good damn it, I'm my father." This could have been avoided if he knew how to load a frocking dishwasher. All throughout my childhood my dad would stare off into the distance with a dumb smile on his face, completely removed from reality. After he would audibly laugh to absolutely nothing. I would say, "What are you laughing at? You look like a crazy person." He would say, "Oh, I just thought about something. I thought this was the weirdest, craziest, most annoying thing in the world." Now other people catch me doing the exact same thing and think I am the crazy person. Something apple tree. Answered the phone at my parents' house and had a 5-minute conversation with my sister before she goes, "Oh my god, you're not dad." Complaining about fridge open, lights left on, etc. I'm probably worse than they were because it bothers me not only on a waiting money standpoint but also a killing the planet and wasting resources standpoint. My mom interrupts people when she gets excited or has something to say, which is a lot. Recently, I've become painfully aware that I can't help but to interject all the time. I am so sorry to everyone I interrupt. I'm trying to get better about it. I swear. Losing my absolute marbles before company comes, cleaning up my chaotic house. Mother's blood runs thick in my veins. Looking back at my wedding pictures and seeing a picture of me and my dad dancing the same. You know those Geico commercials about turning into your parents? Once while redoing our backyard landscaping, I looked at my wife and said, "That's some good mulch." The tropes hold true. I was looking at Black Friday ads and I was the most excited by how cheap light bulbs were. It was a sad realization. The moment I realized I feel comfortable with having a mustache. Miss you, Dad. I tell everybody to bring a jacket. Where's your jacket? After my dad gave me lots of his old clothes, I was walking into a store wearing his pants, one of his shirts, and his jacket. I saw my reflection in the door walking up to the entrance of the store and realized how much I look and walk like my dad. The craziest part? I am adopted, but my dad and I look so frocking much alike. Kid, I'm thirsty. Me, I'm Friday, nice to meet you. I told my girlfriend to turn off the lights because it's like Blackpool illuminations in here. At a bar with a friend of mine and doo-wah ditty comes on the jukebox. I looked at my friend and without thinking said, $20 if you can name who sings this. Then I stopped, horrified. It is exactly what my dad would say and do. The same cadence and tone. I ordered another drink and lamented what I was becoming. I turned down a slice of pizza because it would give me heartburn. If I fall asleep while the TV is still on, I'll start grunting and nagging to whoever turned the TV off in an unconscious manner, like I don't even remember saying it. Why did you turn it off? I am still listening. Exactly like my dad. Even worse. I'm a 19-year-old girl. Not me but my lil brother. We were at Chick-fil-A and he was being rude to some worker sweeping too close to him. I wanted to slap that little breech, but it's a family-friendly restaurant, so I kept it together and kicked him from underneath the seat. When I realized how much I hate going out places with people, I've since started trying to find things I enjoy enough to want to go do. When I caught myself automatically backing into parking spaces, just like mom and dad did. When I pull into the garage, I sigh loudly and say, "Here we are. Guys, can you please use coasters?" Having actual conversations with other cars in traffic. Not screaming or cursing or completely freaking out or losing my temper, but talking to the other people as if they're sitting right next to me. "Oh no. Sure. Feel free to pull right out in front of me. That's perfectly fine. And, oh yeah, sure. You can park there. The no parking sign applies to all the other cars, but you should be okay." It used to drive me absolutely insane, and I would always yell at my mom for doing it. I completely get it now. When I told my boyfriend not to use my good scissors to cut something. Cut to flashback of driving my mother nuts by swiping her scissors. Sorry mom, I get it now. My mom is well known for her relax time, fluffy robe and slippers, sitting in one of those big armchairs, sipping wine and singing along to music. One day I found myself in a fluffy robe and slippers, sitting in a big armchair, sipping wine and singing along to music. I gently spazzed, throwing the robe off. So was confused, so I explained it. Then he pointed out like 1,000 other things I do like my mom. I gave in, put the robe back in, and said frock it. Guess I'm my mom now. Could be worse. Realizing that I'm saving more than I'm spending and actively 100% aware of my current finances and long-term goals. When I realized I needed to clean the house before going on vacations, I thought it was dumb as a kid because we weren't going to be home. Why did it need to be clean? But then I got older and realized how much it sucks to come home to dirty dishes and such. Going to the mall. I hate it with such a passion and avoid it at all costs. I can buy almost anything online with free shipping and free returns. Why oh why would I want to go to the mall? To get enraged while trying to find a parking spot, to interact with the general public, etc. It's just so awful. As a teenager I thought it was the best place in the world and had no idea why my mom hated going. Now every time I ever go, I think, I have become my mom, and she was right. Said to my mom when she was downstairs, "Does your bedroom light need to be on?" No regrets. I used to make fun of my mom for taking a nap whenever she had free time, and now I do the same thing. I lose my shit if anyone calls me after 9 p.m., and as soon as I answer, all that anger immediately evaporates. Phone rings. What are you? Are you fucking serious? At this time of night? This better be important to be calling me at 9:15 p.m. on a motherfucking Tuesday. Oh. It's Dave. Answers. Dave, so good to hear from you. There's an ice storm going on outside and my thermostat is still set to 58 degrees. Heating oil is expensive, but at least I allow space heaters in my home, so it's usually pretty warm in whichever room I'm using. My parents had one catch on fire when I was 6, and that was the last time they used a space heater. When I visit, I secretly bring my own. I swore I'd have a warm house when I grew up, and I still do. But now I totally understand why we weren't allowed to touch the thermostat. Told some guy to apply himself. I'm turning into my dad. Holy shit. My mom is obsessed with hygiene. At home I'm not the cleanest person I know, but when I went to Berlin 5 weeks this summer with school I constantly complained about disorder and dirt everywhere. I was with 7 classmates in a flat where we would live all together. I yell at my wife and kids. I thought I was stronger than the cycle. I feel so fucking ashamed the instant I do it. And always want to take it back. My wife hates me and I can't blame her. It's getting worse and I'm going to lose my family if I don't get my anger under control. Writing this is one of the hardest things I've ever done. I need to find help, but I'm a fucking coward. I doubt this will get seen by very many people. But I need to say it. Telling my husband how it's much healthier to cook at home. The way my dad slurps soup with a spoon. I was always so annoyed by that sounds growing up, until I realized I started making the same noise when I eat it too. If there was bread at the dinner table, whatever we were eating instantly was made into a sandwich by my father. Turns out he knows what he's doing. Lettuce sandwiches are legit. Someone coughs me. Can everyone just shut up for a second? Automatically saying, "Ooh, it's Chilly Willy." When it's cold outside. Thanks, Mom. My dad's an asshole who jumps to conclusions and refuses to see multiple sides to a situation. Usually he gets unjustifiably pissed at a situation, thinking that his side is the only side, and the shitstorm ensues. Realized that I share similar traits. Especially when a situation pisses me off. I'm working on it and have always been much better at seeing all sides to a situation before making a decision, but occasionally some things just push the right buttons and I snap. I'm hoping that by recognizing the similarities and the fact that I despise these traits in my dad so much, it will help me steer clear of turning into him. Mine aren't as much personality based. I take after my dad in getting injured constantly, through both ridiculous accidents and, often literally, throwing myself into sports a bit too much. I've been to A&E about 60 times or something. The other is even less normal as an answer to this question, but I was balding for a while, so shaved my head. Embrace it, you know. But the first day I did that I saw my shadow, and it turns out I have the exact same head shape as my dad. I shat myself thinking he'd randomly appeared in my apartment when it was a mess, but it was just my new baldy head.